MyT. MyT. MyT.
Wait, is this season 2? I wasn't even ready yet. So what? Do I just insert a hot take here or something?
MyT.
LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to repeat, but they are going to play the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Championship, and the Jets are going to be in the Super Bowl. You don't get much hot take in that.
MyT.
Take that.
MyT.
Brooklyn's down, baby! Brooklyn's down!
MyT.
Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the MyT Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Tyler T. Taylor. It is September 7th, 2016. We have about one more day until football is here. So we're going to finish up our fantasy football talk today. Hopefully we get into the Mount Rushmore. We still got to talk to you guys about what happened with Kevin Durant and also what Derrick Rose said. Listen, I know I keep saying we're going to get into it every week, but you know what happens. Regardless of the time, man, regardless of that weather, it is always a good time to talk some sports. So let's start talking. Woo! Alrighty, folks. So if you're listening here today, you are actually in for a special treat. This is actually the first time ever that we are attempting to go live with the MyT Sports Podcast. So we're gonna see how things run today. It's been a test to get things up and running. It's definitely put everything that I've learned. I don't even want to say everything that I've learned, but it definitely put a lot of things to use today. I had to fandangle a lot of things, and also some things worked in my favor too. So we're really gonna see how everything manages to come out today, because to be honest with you, I really don't know. So now, if you are listening, we now have the opportunity to catch the MyT Sports Podcast on TuneIn Radio for next day listening, SoundCloud for same day listening, and now on MixLR for live streaming. So that's actually where we're at now. I don't know if there's anybody listening. Actually, I can actually see that there's nobody listening. So, like I said, we gonna keep going and we gonna keep posting, right? And also in due fashion, as I always say, that I'm always gonna try to have some kind of game, some kind of live, some kind of event going on in the back, so that if we need to, we can always break into some breaking news. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wanted to watch that WNBA game from last night because I didn't get a chance to finish watch it, but I do know that it was for the top spot in the WNBA. So because we're not watching, I'm not gonna talk about that today. I may just bring it up. Who knows? I'm probably still ain't gonna bringing it up now. I'm probably gonna looking up some information during one of the breaks. But what we are gonna get now is Serena Williams live playing Halep from Russia. Serena Williams is the number 1 seed, and Halep is the number 5 seed. Currently, Serena is up, 1-0. Closing out the first set, basically she skunked her 6-0. And so far this second set is looking, let's see if they show the score. Well, we'll get the update when we show the score. So, if you was with us last week, then you were here for basically the quarterback, the running back, and the wide receiver rundown of fantasy football. So now if you're back this week, you know that I promised you that I wasn't just going to leave you with those 3 people. No. But so what we're going to do is that we're going to get through the rest of these guys. We're going to talk about the tight ends, we're going to talk about the defensive, and we're going to talk about the kickers. And if you happen to not to not do your draft yet, then I guess this is a perfect timing for you. This is going to be the perfect time for you to finish up to get some last minute tidbits, right? Well, I don't know when you're going to do your draft. You know, some people do their draft on the Saturday after the first game has been tried. They don't even count this Thursday game, some people. So we'll see. So if you're one of those people, you know, this is basically going to be for you so you can finish out that second half of the podcast. So you can finish out the second half of your draft. So now what happens? So as we get into it, right, we have the tight ends. And the tight ends are a very awkward bunch. They're kind of like receivers. They just don't get utilized a lot. So really what you're going to see is basically the 10 guys that may happen to get used the most. Let's try, for instance, let's start with number 10. And listen, you guys kind of already know who tops out this list. Like, there is one big party animal fiend that you guys all know about. But, you know, in case you need some reminding, number 10 for the tight ends, coming in number 10. It's going to be Zach Miller from Chicago. And this is probably going to be one of those picks. It's because the tight end in Chicago is always being utilized, right? Because we know that Cutler, he used to use his boy Bennett for a while before Bennett got shipped over to New Orleans. Got shipped over to New England. But that was more when he had that combination of Jeffries, Marshall, and Bennett to go along with it. But on top of, as we see in probably Jay Cutler using Zach Miller as just a safety blanket, or using him like Zach Miller is a pretty good, decent, all-around great, you know, or I shouldn't say great, but good. He's a very good tight end. He's always been a good tight end. So that's the reason why he's over here producing, because he's actually kind of one of those. So it's kind of a combination of him being a good tight end and the expectation that Cutler is going to utilize him to an extent that makes him a serviceable fantasy football tight end. Next up, is going to be Tyler Eifert from Cincinnati. And I'm not quite sure about Tyler Eifert from Cincinnati. I'm thinking that Tyler Eifert from Cincinnati is getting more of a push because in Cincinnati they lost their number, what is it now? Their number 3 and their number 2 options is when it came to wide receivers. So basically the only thing that you kind of have over there right now is probably AJ Green and Tyler Eifert. Because Tyler Eifert isn't really a name that jumps off the page to anybody. As we see that 2 new listeners have just popped up. So if you hear me out there, I see you. I'm not sure. There's some kind of way that I believe that we're able to interact, but we'll figure that out a whole nother time. And apparently that we may be having some audio issues when it comes to the live stream. So we're gonna continue, and hopefully that we can fix whatever problems that we're having over here. Next up, number 8 is gonna be Zach Ertz from Philly, and this is more of a projection of. I believe this is more of a projection of what he may be versus of anything of what he actually is, because I'm not seeing any particular reason of why Tyler Eifert should be ranked as high as he currently is. But he's up there. I'm sorry, Zach Eifert, not Tyler Eifert. Zach Ertz. Tyler Eifert, I think, may just be perfectly ranked. Then we have Gary Bambridge from Cleveland. And Gary Bambridge from Cleveland, I'm not even going to begin or even start to act like I know who the heck this sucker is. He's a guy. What kind of guy? No clue. But apparently they're projecting him and that stagnant Cleveland offense to put up numbers. So apparently this is a projection of who RG3 and everybody, who RG3 is, and what they may think is gonna happen now. Who knows? Next up is gonna be number 6, Kobe. It's gonna be Kobe Fleener. Kobe Fleener is the tight end for New Orleans, as we see people trying to sneak into the MyT Sports podcast, MyT Sports studio. This always happens. Last week it was the cleaning lady, and this lady, I don't even know who this person is. So, next we have now, like I said, it's going to be Kobe Fleener for New Orleans. And I'm not going to lie to you, he's a pick that I do like, only because, I think as we told you before, that Drew Brees really likes to spread that ball around as much as possible. He is probably now what is considered one of the most friendliest quarterbacks that we have out there, and that's probably the reason why I don't like players from New Orleans. But I'll take the tight ends. I don't know. And listen, because we saw what he did with tight ends in the past, and I think that this is a combination of that. This is also a combination of what Drew Brees has done with the likes of, let's say, Jimmy Graham, but also what Drew Brees just does from season to season to season to season. Like, let's not get it twisted, and let's act like that Drew Brees is not the guy that's been putting up 4,500 yards for almost a decade now. Plus, and let's sprinkle in at least, 2 to 4, 5,000 yard seasons, well before Tom Brady or Peyton Manning did it. I'm just saying. That's Drew Brees. And that's probably the reason why Cody Fleener is coming in number 6 for the tight ends. Number 5 is Travis Kelce, the reality show guy from Kansas City. And he's another guy that I think maybe ranked a little too high. Because I don't know how Kansas City puts up numbers. Kansas City is still the team that, in the back of my head, I see them struggling just to try to put up points. Like, is it just me? Or has that not been Kansas City for the last 2 to 3 years? Because if it's something different, then please, by any means necessary, let me know, because I am sadly mistaken, apparently. Next, for the number 4, is going to be Delanie Walker from Tennessee. And Delanie Walker from Tennessee is... Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, because, like, once again, like I said, there are people in like the number 10 spot and the number 8 spot, well, maybe the number 10 spot, that I probably would have put higher than all these guys. And I don't know, is it a Marcus Mariota thing? Is it because that he's been Marcus Mariota's security blanket? That's probably the reason why he's ranked so high. But to be honest with you, when it comes to fantasy football, number 4 through number 10 is probably going to be interchangeable. And that's probably why I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, I really don't understand how they have any of these guys ranked when it comes to 4 through 10 through tight ends. But that's probably because all of those guys, 4 through 10 of tight ends, are going to be interchangeable pieces. They are probably all going to average anywhere between like 5 and 9 points, if you're lucky, every single game. And the difference between 5 and 9 is if they have one of those games where they have 50 yards, or if they're going to have one of those games where they have 30 yards and 1 touchdown. But because honestly, I don't see much coming from these tight ends. But Greg Olsen from Carolina, who comes in at number 3, I see him being ranked up. I don't understand why he's not ranked number 2. Like, is it just because he's old, or is it because that Cam Newton now has back his number 1 target, and this is going to be a second year for Funchess? Because all I can remember is that Greg Olsen is the consummate professional. Like, he looks like what a professional should look like every single time I see him. And that's whether you're talking about on the field or off the field, whether he's running routes or he's just out there doing interviews. He has been probably one of the most, outside of like with Jimmy Graham before he got injured, one of the most consistent tight ends out there. So, I guess we're going to see if Greg Olsen stays number 3. I don't think he's going to stay number 3 for long. Number 2 is Jordan Reed from Washington. And I do remember Jordan Reed last year going through a bunch of weeks where he had really good numbers. But we're still talking about Washington here. And unless this is just brand new faith in Kirk Cousins, then I'm not quite sure where this is coming from. When we come back from commercial break, we're going to talk about the number 1 tight end in the NFL and fantasy football.
Tego. Tired of being ripped off by those other guys? Head down to MyT games and get. Let me put you on. Being taken advantage of isn't a game and it needs to stop. Aren't you tired of being ripped off by those other guys? Then head to MyT video games and get the value you deserve on your games and gaming products. The games cost money, and you shouldn't feel like just giving them away. So why continuously buy a membership for prices and deals that you should be getting anyway? MyT Games not only has fair pricing and great trading deals, MyT has a wide variety of games, not just all your popular next-gen titles, but also all your favorite old-school titles and systems. Starting as early as Atari and Nintendo, to as current as PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and yes, that does include PlayStations, GameCubes, and Xboxes in between. Even family-owned and operated for over 10 years, just off the intersection of 183rd and 7th Avenue in the Nurses Registry Plaza. That's conveniently located at 830 Northwest 183rd Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33169. Believe it or not, just 5 minutes from Sun Life Stadium, $7.90 the ticket, and oh no, let's not forget Tootsie's Adult Entertainment Center. MyT Games, where you save more so you can play more.
And we are back to the MyT Sports Podcast. I am again your host, Talon T. Taylor. And once again, as I told you, that we are back and we are doing a test run. Not only are we over here recording on SoundCloud as we normally do, but we're also trying a new live feed on Mixer app, which is MIXLR. So as we play around with the two things, you know, bear with me if my attention may be a little drawn today, because I'm trying to make sure I get you guys the best podcast, and there's a lot of things going on today. And I just want to make sure all the audios are coming out right. But more importantly, we want to make sure the SoundCloud is coming out right, because we're going to play around with this live feed for a couple more days and see exactly what happens with it. And we're going to find a way to make sure that the listeners are getting the audio exactly right, hearing the commercials exactly right, and getting the full experience that they should. But before we go any further off the rail, let's not forget, as we get into the number 1 tight end in the NFL and for fantasy football. And you've probably guessed it already, because I already told you that he's a party animal. He's a party fiend. He is one of those guys that really enjoys himself, but he's a great football player. So when you're a combination of those two, there's not a lot of places that you can complain about. The number 1 tight end from New England, Gronkowski, the Gronk. And that's no surprise, because he's going to be a security blanket for Garoppolo, but even more so, he's the man when it comes for Tom Brady. Like, he is the number 1 target. He is not only just the number 1 tight end in fantasy football, but at times, he can be the number 1 receiver in all of football. So that alone is I guess something that you're gonna want to hold on to when it comes to. Put it this way, he's one of those guys. If you could get high, you want to get high. I remember what I said earlier, that if you're not getting a top 10 player from every single position, at least one, then you're not competing. You're not competing at all. I don't care who you are, what you are, what you say, or what you do. If you are not getting top 10 players from every single position, then you're not putting forth a real effort to compete in fantasy football. Now, the next two categories, we're probably going to run through faster than anything else because these are the two categories that are thought of the least, right? And unless you just find somebody unless you just have one of these defenses that are super elite, you're usually probably not reaching for a defense anywhere before the 10th round. And granted, this is me talking about. Actually, no, 10th round. I'm sorry. There's no way possible that you should be grabbing a defense anywhere before then, and the kicker should be the very last position. Like honestly, like I said, that's only if you're reaching for a defense. Honestly, like your defense should be almost like your very next to last pick, unless you're just trying to find one of those elite defenses. And coming in at number 10, when it comes to defenses ranked in fantasy football, number 10 is going to be the Jets. And not for nothing, Jets will probably be a defense that I reach for, and I'm comfortable saying that now because my fantasy draft is over, and I did reach for them, and I reached for them with a big old smile on my face. Also because like this is one of those few years where I knew I was playing with a Jets fan, so when I play with other Jets fans, I know there's a liability for certain Jets players to be taken. Especially if there's a Jets fan in there, and I knew that he was going to reach for that Jets defense. I knew he would have, so I had to make sure I grabbed it before him. So yeah, I stuck at the paparazzi. If you don't know what the paparazzi is, listen, you see them lights, camera, action. They're bright. So we're going to run through this. Number 10 is going to be the Jets. And the Jets defense ranked at number 10. I don't get it. To be honest with you, I don't get it, especially when I look at some of the other defenses that they're ranked behind. Like being ranked behind the Dolphins defense, who was number 9, and the Vikings defense, who was number 8, and the Rams defense, who was number 7, and the Chiefs defense, who was number 5. Come on, I understand how the Texans are ranked number 6. So if anything, I'm thinking that the Jets should be ranked at the number 6 defense in the league. Ahead of the Rams, ahead of the Vikings, and definitely ahead of the Dolphins. The Dolphins are ranked ahead of the Jets? This is one of those things that you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely a projection. Oh, this is definitely a prediction. Because there is no way possible that if you've watched last year or you watched this year or you watched the year before, or if you've watched any year, like listen, unless all of a sudden miraculously the Miami Dolphins have this all of a sudden gotten their ish together, I don't see how they're ranked above the Jets, but they are. So the Jets are ranked number 9, the Dolphins are ranked Jets are ranked number 10, the Dolphins are ranked number 9. That's not how I would pick them, but that's where they're ranked. Vikings are ranked number 8. And the Vikings are gonna do a hell of a job because they just lost their quarterback down there. Now they have Sam Bradford, the guy that didn't want to play in Philly, and he held out even though he has no reason to be holding out. But he was worth enough that the Vikings gave the Philadelphia Eagles a number 1 pick. So listen, the Philadelphia Eagles are looking really, really good after Chip Kelly has left that place looking like the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Too soon? Or the levee broke in New Orleans? Hey, that's even sooner. There we go. That's much better. So, top 4 defenses. Number 4, Carolina Panthers. And they probably dropped a little bit. Actually, I can't even say they dropped a little bit because they are probably perfectly ranked where they should be, whether they had Josh Newman or whether they didn't have Josh Newman. Then there is number 3, the Seattle Seahawks. And Seattle Seahawks coming at number 3 kind of surprises me, but this is more to say that as they've been a Super Bowl team and contending and also starting to get slightly older, that the Cardinals continue to get slightly younger and slightly better. Coming at number 2, Arizona Cardinals for defenses. And last but not leastly, still from number 1 from last year, right? Because basically this is the defense that won the Super Bowl last year, and now this is going to be and this is the team that starts out this season ranked number 1 as. Hold on, wait for it. As we get a quick update for you, as Serena Williams is down in the second set, 3-1. So remember, I told you that she won her first set 6-2. Now she's down in the second set 3-1, and current now the matchup is tied at 40 apiece. Serena's serving, and I guess they're trying to see if she's going to see if she can get the advantage on this one. I'll keep you updated as this continues to go on as Serena Williams plays in the prime time hours of the night. I'm talking about prime time. Talking about prime time. Right? So you guys did get there, right? Number one kicker, number one defense, Broncos. Like, and they're gonna have to put, and they're another defense that's gonna have to put themselves to work. Actually, a lot of these defenses are gonna put themselves to work, because I can't think of a team that has, like, any one of these teams that has a good defense that has a matching offense, right? So the Broncos, I think the Broncos have a rookie quarterback, so they quite don't know what he's gonna do, but he has great offensive weapons. But we need a good running game. Cardinals may be the best put together team when you're talking about offense and defense. Behind them, probably the Seahawks, and behind them, probably the Panthers. Now that the Panthers have all their weapons back. I'm sorry, man. When we come to all-around teams, I'm putting the Jets up there. Like, is that a homer pick? Like, I know that they have the problems at quarterback, but if we're talking about the Broncos up there as one of the favorites to make the playoffs, I said it. I said it.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
As you may be hearing a little echo somewhere, I don't know how to get that echo out yet, but we are working on it. We are working on everything and every single moment to get this better too. Listen, it's weird. We're going to see what happens here. If anything, what's going to happen is that the live stream is going to be way more messed up than the sound than the playback. This thing is probably going to be all over the place, but it's still promising. We still got some promises. So now as we run through the kickers, right? And I'm not even going to mention any of these kickers by name. I'm going to mention these kickers by team, because kickers really don't matter. As I still think the Jets should be ranked a lot higher than that and looked at as overall as a better team. But being ranked number 10 in defense is not bad. I just think that they should be ranked higher and more. So, number 10, kicker, Minnesota. Number 9, kicker, Dallas Cowboys. Number 8, kicker, Denver Broncos. Number 7, kicker, the Green Bay Packers. Number 6, Arizona Cardinals. Number 5, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4, Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, Seattle Seahawks. Number 2, Carolina Panthers. And number 1, New England Cheaters. The Deflators. The Deflators? The Deflating Cheaters? How do you call them? So, that should now technically be every single thing running from here to there from your fantasy football. And like I said, we went through, if you haven't drafted yet, then you'll have to listen to last week's show to be able to get what happened with the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and the running backs. But as far as right now goes, this is pretty much as well as it's going to get. So we're gonna take this next quick break, right? And when we come back, you guys are finally lucky here, because here it finally comes. We get the opportunity to finally talk about my Mount hate more of sports, and this is all sports, not just NFL, not just basketball. Like, we were talking baseball, we're including wrestling. Like, if I had a tennis player that I hated, I'll probably throw her in there too. But you know what? I'm not gonna lie. At one point in time, there was a tennis player that I didn't quite like, and it wasn't that he wasn't good. It was just that he was the best competitor, and the guy that was always stopping my dude Andy Roddick. You can guess who I'm talking about there, Pete Sampras, but he's no longer part of this equation. He's no longer relevant. That's like me calling out Reggie Miller this time. So, like I said, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to see what happens here. And when we come back, we're going to get into that and more. And just remember, if you are listening today on, Mix LR, I do thank you. But also, if you're hearing this, you can hear this also on TuneIn Radio and on SoundCloud.
They didn't join this team to win championships. become famous. They join because there is important work to be done, and only some able to do it. They are brighter, better educated, led, and equipped than any team in history. They are doctors, lawyers, engineers, technologists, and combat troops, all prepared for whatever comes their way. You'll find them where the lights don't flash, and the only contract they sign is with themselves and their country. One day, they may be asked what they did to make a difference in this world, and they can respond, "I became a soldier."
Yeah, welcome back to the MyT Sports Podcast. As I said, I am your host, Talent T. Taylor. And if you're still listening, like I said, you may be listening on MixLR, you may be listening on TuneIn Radio, or you may be listening on SoundCloud. But however you are listening today, tonight, tomorrow afternoon, whenever it is, I do appreciate it. So I told you guys that we was going to talk about my Mount hate more, and maybe even get into this Derrick Rose talk. But you know what? Something else interested me or caught my eye right before then. And it happened when this happened.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
When playoffs happened. And part of it is also that I also went into that rate about where the Jets were ranked. So it kind of made me start to think, because remember what they said last year, right? Or not what they said last year, but what they've said almost every year is that as we see a break now. Oh, wait, before I just get that to you all rugged and raw. As we take a break, as we see the second set now, it is, what's this lady's name? Harpo 4, Serena Williams 3. Serena Williams is making a slight comeback to see if she could finish this out in straight sets and not have to worry about going into a third. So the thing that caught my eye was that they happened to say that every single year we have about 5 to 8 teams, right? So on the low end, let's really say 5. Right? We have about 5 teams every single year that do not make the playoffs. And it's kind of intriguing, right? Because it makes you kind of think, if there's 5 teams total that isn't going to make the playoffs, like, who are your locks? And who made it last year that you're just looking at like, yeah, bro, like, your number's up. I'm sorry. You're not going to catch the same breaks. You're not going to get the same luck. And the same teams that sucked last year, that allowed you to get in there, ain't going to suck. So that made me start thinking, and I do apologize. This should probably be a little bit more put together, but like I told you, I caught this on the fly based off the last segment. So last year's playoffs, right? We're talking about in the AFC, we have Broncos, Steelers, Bengals, the Deflators, Texans and the Chiefs. And then suddenly you have to figure out, okay, out of all of these teams, and then switch over to the other side, NFC. Let's see here. We had Arizona, we had the Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals, we had the Seahawks, we had the Carolina Panthers, the Packers, the Vikings, and Washington. Yeah, because they are definitely the very first team that I do not believe are going to make it into the playoffs next year. So, automatically, let's just go ahead and take the Redskins out of this. All right, Redskins will not whatsoever, and I'm trying to write some of this down as we go on, so bear with me. I don't believe the Redskins whatsoever are going to make the playoffs, right? So that's the very first team that we're taking out of here. I don't believe in the Chiefs either. So I'm knocking out the Chiefs. And then this is when things start to get very, very, very shaky. Because now I start to wonder, who else is there? Like, really, who else is there? Like, who do I not believe in enough to say that, okay, you're not going to make the playoffs? And it has, and the way I figure it, because you have to understand, technically what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to figure out a way that I can get the Jets making the playoffs. So I have to figure out, who am I taking out first in the AFC? Who do I know is probably going to make it? And then where can the Jets squeeze themselves in? Like, I believe the Steelers are a lock. So let's start there. AFC North: Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, and Browns. So I think the Steelers are a lock. And the Bengals, they're iffy. They may not make it. So the Steelers are a lock. That means the Bengals are at best are going to be a wild card team. They was the first line of hope for the Jets. That AFC South is going to be one of those divisions that you're going to look at again and you're going to wonder what the hell is going on. That's what I'm assuming. Texans, Colts, Jaguars, Titans. And we're all projecting Andrew Luck to come back and look as good as ever. So look like he did before. So if Andrew Luck continues to look as he did before, then we're basically projecting a 10-6 season. I know he's got 11-5 and 11-5 before then. I'm saying 10-6 because I'm giving him some competition for the fact that the Jaguars should be better. And the Texans should be better. But I'm taking the Texans out of this one. So I'm definitely taking out the Chiefs, and I'm definitely taking out the Texans. And if I'm taking out the Chiefs and the Texans, because I guess the only way the Texans are going to make it is if the Texans win their division. And I don't see the Texans winning their division, so I'm giving that automatically to the Colts. We had 2 spots. Well, 3 if you want to count Bengals taking the wild card. We all know, as much as I hate to say this, and I really hope I'm wrong. Oh, God. Dag. Freaking. The New England Patriots will most likely win the AFC East again, which means that they're going to be secured for a last spot. It doesn't even matter. If they finish these first 4 games with Tom Brady is of 1-3, the Patriots will still find a way to win 8 in a row. At least 8 of the next games, they will find that way. Listen, Tom Brady doesn't lose that many games to begin with, but I guarantee you one of those games he's gonna lose to the Jets. That's what I'm saying. Just saying. B, don't judge me. Don't hate us because you ain't us. And you have no reason to hate the Jets, to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know why I said that. It just sounded good as it left the tongue. I do apologize. I got a little overzealous. I was getting hyped. I was in the moment. You know, there was reggae horns everywhere. I got Jim Morrow talking about playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, the Jets need to make the playoffs, and we gonna see. Like, I really believe the Jets are gonna make the playoffs, but the Jets make the playoffs as a wild card again. And then I guess that technically just leaves, what team do we believe is going to come out the West? Are the Raiders going to finally take that step and take advantage? Like, see, and let me get here first, right? Because automatically every single person is giving it to the Broncos, and not for nothing. I'm not going to lie to you. I've given this division to the Broncos, but I've done it with a lot of trepidation. Like I am very hesitant to give it to the Broncos, and I know what you're saying. That people keep saying that. Hey, the Broncos won the Super Bowl last year when it was just their defense and they had to carry their offense. And if they did it carrying their offense and a busted quarterback, then they could do it with this new quarterback. And I keep looking at them like, and every time I hear this, I wonder, as now we're up to 12 listeners. Thank you guys, whoever's listening out there, I appreciate it. So whoever they keep every time they say this, I look at them like they have 3 heads, because they make it seem like a great defense can just make it with any old quarterback. Because if that's the case, then Mark Sanchez really should have won a championship already. Listen, as retorted as that sounds, bear with me for a second, because they keep saying like Osweiler is going to do just as well, and I'm like, the Raiders have a complete team damn near, and the Chiefs. Every time I look around, the Chiefs has a high ranking tight end and has a high ranking defense and has a high, so the Chiefs made it into the playoffs last year, so the Chiefs are looking to continually make some noise. And the Denver Broncos have quarterback issues. And yeah, they made it while they had quarterback issues last year. Stop pretending like they didn't have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So while Peyton Manning was putting up ducks with his arm, he was throwing lasers with his mind. So you can't just say all of a sudden that Osweiler is going to be able to do the same thing that Peyton Manning did because Osweiler doesn't have the knowledge that Peyton Manning does. Like, Peyton Manning knew, like, while I didn't have, like, all of his arm shifts, he still knew exactly in every single given situation where to put the ball. As we see now, wait, let me sure we get this out here right to you. And if you know the show, then you know that means that we have some breaking news. As we have Halep from Russia up now in the second set, 5-3 over Serena Williams. But she's a little upset as we see a replay of her banging her racket several times on the concrete as she gave up the advantage to Serena. So right now it's 5-3 Halep, advantage Serena. As like I said, they've been well, no, we weren't stuck here for a while, but Serena's first serve is a fault. Just slightly out. So as we get back here, and as we said, that was some breaking news. As I told you, I like to tap into whatever's going in now. Like it's a distraction, and it allows me to keep current. So at least while we're doing this, we still don't miss anything. So if anything pops up on the tickler that you feel like you need to know, trust me, I'll make sure I get that out to you guys too. So then here we are. So then that's basically how I kind of have it set now. We're gonna have the Cheetahs, we're gonna have the Steelers, we're gonna have the Colts, and like I said, I'm still iffy on the Broncos, but I'm gonna give the Broncos it. But that other spot, I think I'm giving it to the Raiders. Like if I don't give it to the Bengals, then I'm giving it to the Raiders. For some odd reason, I see the Raiders finally putting enough together to make it back into the playoffs with the young squad that they have and the young defense. That's the thing I don't understand about how the Raiders aren't ranked any better, because they may be one of the few teams that have young, up-and-coming, solid players that we see produce from last year, like quarterback, wide receiver, defense. Forgive me as I can't remember what their running game looks like, but I get surprised these last couple of years why Oakland isn't being ranked higher, and maybe people are being conservative as they try to wait for them to get out their own way. But now the NFC. The NFC has basically its own set of challenges just because two of these rankings I think are going to be dependent on if these guys win the division or not. So the Panthers, I see the Panthers repeating again. Well, that's not really hard to say. Seahawks and Packers, same exact thing. Now, I do see the Cardinals making it from there as well. So then now we're basically talking about who's going to win the East. Because whoever wins the NFC East, because I don't see two teams coming out of the NFC East, which two teams haven't come out of the NFC East in a while. So I don't see two teams winning the NFC East. And the funny thing about it is that each one of those teams have their own problems and you can doubt them all aggressively. But the two teams I would guess you would say that's at the forefront of it are going to be the Cowboys and the Giants. And I don't know if it's the homer in me that is leaning a little bit more towards the Giants, even though Old Dirty Player is on that team. And I don't know, like, listen, like if I'm still waiting for Odell Beckham Jr. and Russell Wilson to make to run into each other at a club and have a dance off. Like, have you seen this? I don't know what's going on lately. And is that really Puff Daddy's new hair? Like, what is going on out here? Like, what? Listen, see, what young Jock is doing. Like, I blame this on the little Will Smith boy. Remember a couple years back, the little Will Smith boy was out there wearing skirts. Well, fast forward it now, and we have Young Thug, Young Jock, and what I'm hoping was a Photoshop head of P. Diddy. So, listen, we got a little sidetracked, and since we getting sidetracked, how about we do this? Because there is nothing else that we love more than to hear what we do on the side. So, we're going to tell you this one time, probably one time only. If you're stuck trying to figure out what to do on a Friday, stop worrying, stop thinking. Head to Capone's nightclub in downtown Fort Lauderdale. This is where you're going to find DJ Scepter. He's going to be mixing in the lounge room. You find him, you know why you found DJ Scepter? So you can start dancing so you can start drinking. Or start drinking so you can start dancing, whichever way you like to do it. But find DJ Scepter every Friday, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Ladies, you bring your sexy. Fellas, bring your swag. It goes down at Capone every single Friday. But wait, listen, there's more. If you're trying to figure out what to do on a random Wednesday, and listen, there's one place that Wednesdays all popping, and that's every single Wednesday at O'Malley's from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Come listen to DJ Scepter. And if you're into beer pong, they have a massive beer pong tournament going on. So you get music, you get beer pong, you get alcohol. They have this lovely young broad named Carrie that's behind the counter. So you also get some eye candy. Listen, DJ Scepter, he's playing everywhere that you want to be. Birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, bachelor and bachelorette parties. DJ Scepter puts a raw touch on everything. For reservations, go to bookings at djscepter.com. And welcome back to the Mighty Sports Podcast. Again, I am your host, Talent T. Taylor. And if you are listening, again, thank you. And you should be listening on either SoundCloud or TuneIn Radio for the playback of the recording. But if you are listening live, I do thank you. You should be able to listen live now on MixXL. And if you listen on MixXL, I am aware that we may be having all kinds of issues right now. It's the first time that we're trying this one out. So again, if there are, we're going to apologize now. We're getting better at this. So, as we continue with the NFC, right? Continue with the NFC. It was the Panthers, Seahawks, Packers, Cardinals. Giants and Cowboys are basically going to be the only two teams I see coming out of the NFC North. The NFC East. And depending on whoever wins that division is going to be whoever makes the playoffs. I don't see two teams coming out of it. I don't see two teams worthy of being better than any other team really out there. Like, based off the fact that they even make the playoffs, I think you're going to look at it and be like, wow, they made the playoffs? You can still make the playoffs at like 6 and 10? I'm joking. It probably won't be 6 and 10, but it's going to be a record that you're going to be like, please somebody hurry up and win. Which also leads me to the same scenario between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. And I believe that is going to be a toss-up between those two. And who really knows? Like, I have more faith in the Saints than I do the Falcons at this point in time. Honestly, if the Falcons didn't have Julio Jones and a decent running back, who's their running back now? Freeman or something like that. So if they didn't have that, I honestly would have no faith in them. So even though I kind of say, hey, giving Atlanta consideration, I'm really not giving Atlanta that much consideration. Like, I am way more concerned way more leaning towards New Orleans making the playoffs. So, I know it's early, but you know what? I have to get my picks out there, because when we flash back on this, which we will, one day, I don't want you to say I just made this up. So here we go for the official record. My prediction, way before predictions should be made. The deflating cheaters are going to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh Steelers, the Jets, the Colts, the Broncos, and the Raiders. That's the AFC. Followed by the Panthers in the NFC, the Seahawks, the Packers. I'm going to go with the Giants, Cardinals, and the Saints. And there we go. And that is...
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
And that's kind of how I see him coming out. Now, who do I think is going to win the Super Bowl? I'm not even going to attempt to go there yet, as I just got the alert that we are winding down to the final 10 minutes of the podcast. Folks, yeah, that's how quickly things go. And listen, why we have the final 10 minutes? Let me go ahead and get this out right, because as you know, that I recently did a game where I did a minor league game where I was calling for the Palm Beach Cardinals versus the Charlotte Stone Crabs. And that game was probably the most exhilarating game that, as we have a Buffalo Bills fans over here saying that the Buffalo Bills will be making the playoffs. I feel you, Buffalo fan, right? And this is part of the reason why I kind of wanted to do this on Mixer. And I probably should have said on MixLR, I probably should have said this from the beginning. And that's because if you're able to sign up on MixLR, and when we do the live podcast, you're able to interact with me directly. So if there's anything that you want me to say, anything you want to talk about, we can actually have a back and forth discussion. I'll leave a segment open every once in a while, just to hear some fan interaction to see what you guys want to do. So I see you, Lou. I appreciate you. Buffalo Bills still going to lose. I don't even see them making the playoffs. I'm sorry. And you know how much I love the Rexes. I'm sorry how much I love the Ryans. You know this. I love me the Ryans, but they're too inconsistent. And listen, take it from the guy that had them for 5 years, or at least one of them for 5 years. Once they start sounding like white noise, then there's no more motivating the team, except for against the Jets and against the Patriots and against the Dolphins. Like, you'll be able to get up for those games, but all the other ones, nope. Maybe one or two, he'll find some motivation because he's a great motivator of people. He just can't sustain it. So as I was saying before, I had the privilege of calling a minor league baseball game this past Saturday between the West Palm Beach Cardinals and the Charlotte Stone Crabs, and this game was a game of history, at least for the season for the Palm Beach Cardinals, as the Palm Beach Cardinals have probably been one of the worst teams in minor league baseball or MILB this season. That, as I am being reminded that they beat the Jets twice. They did. They definitely did beat the Jets twice. But like I said, those are the teams that they get up for. They get up for all the rivalry games. So let's say they beat the Jets twice, they beat the Dolphins twice, and they beat New England once. We're talking about that you guys maybe may get 2 more wins out of that. So we're talking about a 7-win season. I'm just saying. You're gonna be spent on those rivalry games. It's like shooting all your adrenaline at the same time. You know what I mean? It's listen. We're not gonna go far down that road. Palm Beach Cardinals, Charlotte Stone Crabs. History was made. It was the very last game for the Palm Beach Cardinals. And the Palm Beach Cardinals have been one of the worst teams in minor league baseball, not only in record-wise, but also when it came to leaving runners on base. And I'm not sure what got into them this game, as this game was quick. This game turned quickly as the Palm Beach Cardinals went up in the 3rd inning, 2-0. And they maintained that lead for about 3 innings until a complete breakdown in the 6th and the 7th. The 6th inning would allow 4 runs to come in. The 7th inning would allow 1. So by the end of the 7th, the Palm Beach Cardinals were down 5-2. And when I say like the odds were stacked against them, not only were they a bad team and they were going through now their 3rd pitcher of the evening, but so far they were 0-61 when trailing in the 8th. So that means all season, if they did not have the lead by the time they got into the 8th inning, they have not won one game this whole entire season. Well, the 8th inning comes around, and the Palm Beach Cardinals add 2 additional runs to the count to make it a 4-5 game. And then we have the bottom of the 9th. Score is still 5-4. And what happens with runners in scoring position? With a runner in scoring position, we get a run drive home and it's 5-5. Unfortunately, the Cardinals weren't able to bring the additional runs home to be able to complete the comeback during regular innings. But they did leave that game tied 5-5. And we went into extra innings. And we went into the 10th inning. Score is still 5-5. And we get into the bottom of the 11th. 5-5. And the Palm Beach Cardinals complete the comeback. They fill the bases. They bring a runner in. And we have a 6-5 victory in extra innings. And the Palm Beach Cardinals, for the first time this whole entire season, managed to come back while trailing after the 8th. And while I didn't get the opportunity to see a home run this season, I didn't get the chance to see who from the Jupiter Hammerheads get on first. I was able to call the very last game for the Palm Beach Cardinals, and in that very last game, be privileged enough to get extra innings, and also to watch the Palm Beach Cardinals complete a comeback that they have attempted to do the whole entire season. So while I was there, they did something they haven't done for anybody else. And yes, in all North Carolina mocking fashion, a whole bunch of woos were played across the airway, were announced during the PA, were thrown on the play-by-play. It was a fun, exciting night. And now that we're here, finally, right, we finally get the opportunity to talk about my Mount hate more of sports. And since we are in football, we are going to start with the football player that I obviously hate the most. And since we still have listeners out there, can anybody take a guess of which football player that I absolutely despise, that I can't stand, that just by the mere sight of him makes me want to spit and just start backhanding people left and right like I was a weed whacker? Can you guess it? The listeners are failing me today. You would think that this would be the opportunity for them to just start shooting in text, but no, you're not getting it today. But you know what? It shouldn't be hard to tell. It honestly shouldn't be hard to tell, because I am a fan of the Jets, Jets. So it'll only be right that there's only one person in the NFL that I truly despise, because I believe that this person is single-handedly responsible for my team's bad luck, for their demise, for their lack of playoff appearances. And we'll talk about during the next show.
Sorry, boys. All the stitches in the world can't sew me together again. Lay down, lay down. Always knew I'd make a stop there. But a lot later than a whole gang of people thought. Last call for drinks.
Don't forget you can find me
closing down.
on SoundCloud,
Sun's out.
Facebook,
Where we going for breakfast?
Twitter,
Don't wanna go far.
TuneIn Radio,
Rough night.
and now MIXLR,
Tired, baby.
MyT Sports. My